Okay, welcome everyone. Today's topic is strategic trends for 2021. So what is it and where is it that you need to focus in 2021 based on the current situation, the pandemic, and what's coming up in the next 12 months? Okay, so let's just start with the basics, with the foundations, and then as to the economy, some facts, and then we're gonna focus on the activities and strategies that you need to focus on. So first of all, let me just quickly go over the basics on the economy. So you have extremely low interest rates, okay? You also have a very low supply of inventory. Therefore, prices are holding up, okay? So supply and demand, due to the shortage of inventory, prices are still holding high, and due to the low interest rates, you have a bigger pool of buyers, okay? So here, I'm gonna have buyers pool has increased because they can afford more, okay? So what's happening is that this is turning into a seller's market, okay? Seller's market. So what does that mean, seller's market? That means that anybody that is putting a property for sale is just flying off the shelf, okay? And guess what? They're getting top dollars for their properties. So investors, hungry investors, are paying crazy money, and the problem is that often they do not understand the numbers. So guess what? Oftentimes they overpay for the properties, they do not understand the back-end value that they need to have, and they may not make a profit, okay? But the problem is that that's putting a lot of stress on real estate investors like yourself who understand the numbers. So now, what are your options given the current situation, and what's gonna happen in the next 12 months? So right now, we have a moratorium for both evictions and foreclosures. So right now, if we backtrace a bit, about a year ago, the forbearance program started. So back in March, right, 2020, the forbearance program allowed owners to skip mortgage payments up to 6 months, and they could renew that twice. So up to 12 months, they could skip. It's not forgiveness of mortgage payments, it's just a delay of making the mortgage payments. So guess what? By April, the forbearance program, it's over. So they're gonna need to come up with 12 months of mortgage payments. And guess what? If they're still unemployed or they cannot afford to make a lump sum for the mortgage, guess what's gonna happen? These owners are going to enter the foreclosure process. So right now, there's such a huge backlog of filings for foreclosures, okay? So when they open up the courts, hopefully sometime by the end of the summer, early fall, then there's gonna be a tsunami wave, right? Of distressed properties entering the foreclosure process. So what's gonna happen is that you won't see much towards the end of the year, but by early spring, you're gonna start to see properties coming back into the market. So there's gonna be an increase in inventory, okay? So I'm gonna draw the house. So what's gonna happen is when you have an increase in supply, then there's gonna be an adjustment of prices. So prices, I'm gonna put prices in the next 12 months are going to go down about 10 to 15%, okay? So property prices are gonna correct themselves about 10 to 15%. So what does that mean to you? What does this data tell you? So in real estate, pretty much you only have 3 exit strategies, okay? You either wholesale, fix and flip, or buy and hold, okay? So what strategy should you focus on for the next 20 months, okay? Let's talk about the 3 of them and the benefits and drawbacks of all 3 of them and where you should focus on, okay? So wholesaling, you're not technically buying the property, okay? So you are only getting the property on the contract and you're reassigning the rights of that contract to an end buyer, okay, for a profit. So let's assume that you get on the contract for 90,000, and then you reassign the rights of the same contract to an end buyer for 100,000. So the difference, 10,000, is your finder's fee. Okay, so wholesaling is one of the best strategy that you need to focus on, and the reason why is because due to the economy, due to the high unemployment. So unemployment is at the highest ever, 25%, is putting a lot of pressure on homeowners. Therefore, there are going to be a huge number of motivated, financially distressed owners. Therefore, those are going to become your leads as a wholesaler. So wholesaling is going to be one of the best strategies that you need to engage in. So becoming a wholesaler, what it means is that you become the best acquisition individual or investor possible, meaning that you need to be able to get off-market properties under contract, okay? I just mentioned something off-market, right? So what it means is that these properties are technically not for sale, okay? So we have off-market versus MLS. So we're gonna be focusing primarily on off-market. So these are investors that will enter the foreclosure process, or that they are already in the foreclosure process, but due to the courts being closed, you don't know about that. But guess what? When they open up the courts, you're going to be the first one to know, because right now we have over 40,000 pre-foreclosures in ChicagoDealVault. But when the courts open up, guess what? That's just going to increase by at least 50%. So we're going to have 20,000 foreclosures coming into the market. Okay, that's going to be a huge tsunami wave, right? And guess what? Those are distressed owners. When they're in the foreclosure process, that process can take up to 2 years, okay? The cool thing is that you can reach out to the owners, distressed owners, okay, to try to give them a solution, meaning that you can, if they have a lot of equity and motivation, buy the property from them, and it's going to be a win-win because they won't lose their property to the bank or to the foreclosure process. They're not going to ruin their credit, and they're going to have some extra cash to relocate somewhere else. And you get a great property, perhaps paying 50, 60 cents on the dollar. So it's a win-win situation when you intercept the distressed homeowners before the property goes to the judicial auction. So once the owner enters the foreclosure process, it takes about 9 to 12 months before their house goes to the sheriff auction, meaning the sheriff, trustee, or judicial auction, the same thing, meaning an auction held at the courthouse, okay? So you have about a year, so you're talking about from 2021, near the fall, till the fall of 2022. That's when you get to intercept the property before it goes to the judicial sale. And that's huge because guess what? The benefits are that you don't have any competition, right? You get to finance the transaction, you get to see the property from the inside, and then you're gonna have the option to either wholesale the property, buy and hold, or fix and flip the property, okay? But due to the shortage of inventory, guess what? Wholesalers are making even more money than flippers, okay? So that's huge because right now, due to the shortage of inventory, wholesaling fees are 10, 15, 20,000. So you're gonna make 15, 20,000 so quickly that you're gonna outperform any flipper, even if they do micro flipping. We're gonna talk about micro flipping in just a second. But let me give you an example. We started a wholesaling group from ChicagoDealVault. We have over 60 people, 60 wholesalers. We've had 2 properties on the contract in the last 3-4 weeks. We were able to wholesale the properties within a day, okay? So think about it. I mean, the possibility of raising or getting a big paycheck quickly through wholesaling is very doable when you get the right property at the right price on the contract, okay? So that's what we're trying to accomplish with the wholesaling inner circle team, to train you, give you the leads, give you all the resources for you to become the best acquisition specialist. We're going to help you with the disposition. Disposition means finding a cash buyer, okay, that is going to buy the property cash. But we're going to help you become the best acquisition individual, meaning building rapport with the owner, identifying their motivation, and getting them to sign a real estate contract, purchase, okay? So wholesaling is one of the most lucrative exit strategies today. And guess what? It's just the first exit in real estate, I would call it, because it's the quickest. You don't need to fund the transaction because you're not buying the property. You're just getting the property in the contract, okay? So it's just huge, right? Because that's just a quick and easy way for you to raise capital if you want to move on to doing fix and flips and buy and hold. Because with the next two exit strategies, you are going to need to fund the transaction or fund the purchase. We're going to talk about that in just a second. So wholesaling has become one of the most lucrative exit strategies in real estate because there are very few entry barriers. Okay, so you don't need to have a big capital. The risk is very minimal because guess what? When you get a property on the contract, if it's at the right price, you're going to be able to sell it so quickly. But if not, you don't have anything to risk, okay? Because you will be able to cancel the contract. I mean, it's an unfortunate situation because you've been trusted by homeowners and you might be their last opportunity, right? Before they lose the property. So it's a very serious matter and you truly need to empathize with the owner's situation. But it's the strategy that carries the least amount of risk, okay? And it could be extremely lucrative. Now, let's move on to the fix and flip. Okay, so right now, due to the decrease in ARVs that we're gonna have in the next 12 months, right? It's recommended that you do not take gold rehabs, okay? So getting a property that needs tons of rehab, it's not advisable. Why? Because you may come up with an ARV today that in about 9 to 12 months, it's gonna be lower, okay? So you won't have the back-end equity that you need to make the expected net profit on the flip. So it is too risky to take on big projects. And guess what? In real estate, you don't make money doing big rehabs. It's the opposite. You're increasing your risk of losing money. So to maximize your profit and minimize your risk, you have to take on light to medium rehabs, okay? It's super, super critical for you to do those type of projects, meaning less than 50,000 in rehab. That is so critical, okay? So that's what we mean by micro flipping. Getting a great property in the contract at a good price that it requires 15 all the way to 50,000 in rehab. That's just the way to do flips right now. And historically, in the last 12 months, flippers have made the most money. Why? Because it's a seller's market, okay? So they're able to command top dollars for their rehabs. And guess what? They're getting the money and more because oftentimes, if it's a nice rehab, people are overpaying. They're paying above asking price, which is huge, right? But again, if you're gonna take on flips, stick to simple rehabs. That's going to be the key. Now, what do we mean by getting the right property at the right price? Okay, that is very, very important. I'm gonna tell you the sweet spot to maximize your profit and minimize your risk when it comes to getting properties on the contract, okay? So let me show you the numbers. You need to focus on properties, purchase price below 150, okay? So the house below 150, the rehab should be less than 150. So this is the rehab, and then this is the purchase price, okay? Purchase price below 150,000, rehab below 50,000, okay? And the key to analyze a property, just to know if it's a great deal, is that the difference between the purchase price and the ARV should be 80 to 100,000. Okay, so if you buy the property or you're getting on the contract for, let's say, 100,000, that property needs to appraise for at least 180. Okay, and the rehab should be less than 50. Okay, that is just the spread that you need to have in order to be able to do a successful flip or a successful buy and hold. Buy and hold is the most forgiving strategy, so you can afford to pay more for the property, but you shouldn't, right? Because if you change your mind and you later decide to sell the property, you need to have both exit strategies available to you. So then you need to pay always the flip price. So to be able to get a great deal on the contract, it has to have that spread. And guess what? You need to focus on certain areas, right? Because not all areas are going to make sense for flips or buy and hold. So we have top flipping markets and top rental markets. Okay, so since we're talking about flips, what makes a top flipping market? A top flipping market is where properties are moving so fast, and the way for you to measure that is by knowing the months of housing supply. Please make sure you write this down. Months of housing supply. Okay, so what does that mean? Months of housing supply. What it means is the number of months that it takes for the entire inventory in that neighborhood, that market, to be sold out, assuming no new listings coming to the market. So let me give you an example. Let's assume that, for instance, Arlington Heights has 100 properties for sale, and they're selling about 50 properties per month. So the question is, how long would it take before you run out of properties for sale in Arlington Heights? So if you're selling 50 every month, it's going to take only 2 months before you run out of inventory in Arlington Heights. So the best indicator for a top flipping market is 2.5 months of inventory supply. Okay, so it's going to take no more than 2.5 months before you run out of inventory in that particular market to make it a top flipping market. Okay, so months of housing supply should be less than 2.5 months. Okay, so in these markets, people want to move in. Okay, therefore properties are selling so fast. What makes a market so desirable? Number one, employment. 2, safety. 3, schools. 4, amenities. Okay, so those are the main factors that drive people to certain markets. Okay, again, safety, schools, infrastructure, employment. Okay, but in that order: employment, safety, schools. Okay, those are the 3 main factors that are going to make a market very, very desirable. And if it's very desirable, properties are going to be selling super fast. Therefore, you need to find the months of housing supply below 2.5 months. Okay, and we're going to give those metrics in ChicagoDealVault. So what it means is that if you take on a project, let's say you buy a property and you're going to do the rehab, if the rehab is going to take you, let's say, month and a half plus 2.5 months, that's 4 months. So that means that you're going to be able to do 3 deals in about a year, assuming that you do one after the other one. Okay, so in 4 months, it's going to take you from buying the property, rehabbing it, putting it on the market, and selling the property. About 4 months, 3 to 4 months. So that makes it a very successful flipping market, the months of housing supply. Okay, now let's talk about buy and hold. Buy and hold is by far the best strategy long term. That's how you build wealth in real estate. So what strategies should you focus on? So my advice is to, for sure, start doing wholesales. Okay, they're going to be more lucrative than micro flipping because of the shortage of inventory. Okay, however, if you get a great deal on the contract, why should you give away the golden goose? Okay, so if you get a great property in a great rental market, you're going to be better off keeping the property as a rental, okay? Because then when you have rentals, guess what happens? You're gonna have passive income, property over time will appraise in value, and then as time goes on, you start paying off the outstanding balance, therefore increasing your net worth over time. So you never have to worry about your pension plan going down because you're taking withdrawals. It's going to be the opposite with real estate. Your net worth continues to go up, okay? And guess what? Your positive cash flow will continue to go up because rents over time go up due to population growth, okay? So it's just a win-win doing rentals, but it's, again, a long-term investment. But you should always begin with the end in mind and do at least 2 exit strategies. You should always aim to own rentals because that's a true path for financial freedom. And you need to take on either one of these 2. My advice is to take on wholesaling. Okay, it's going to be more lucrative than flipping. Why? Because we're seeing that right now. We're able to move a property in about a couple of days' time. So it's extremely amazing. Whereas if you do flipping, then you're going to need to, again, buy the property. You know, you're going to need to worry about funding, then rehabbing, and then putting the property on the market. Of course, you're going to sell it. It's a seller's market. But again, it's going to take you about 3 to 4 months to take on that process. So why not do a wholesale and be able to make as much money as if you were to do a micro flip? Okay, so when you have a great property on the contract, you either wholesale it for a nice finder's fee or you keep it, okay? So it depends, but my suggestion is for you to always aim to do a rental if you have a great deal that will cash flow in a top rental market, and then take either one of these 2 strategies, okay? Now, what makes a top rental market? A top rental market is a market where you can buy a property for about $150,000, 3-bedroom, 2-bath, or 2-bedroom, 1-bath, and the rents are over $1,500. Okay, so rents need to be over $1,500. Okay, because there are markets where the rents are not high, but yet property prices are high, so that doesn't maximize your return. So you need to be in neighborhoods such as Old Seep or Berkeley, for instance, where property prices are somewhere in 160, 170, but guess what? The rents are over 1800s. Berkeley, rents for a 3-bedroom, 1 or 2-bath start at like 2,000, 2,100. So we typically use the 1% rule of thumb. So if you buy a property for about 150,000 plus the rehab, let's say 30, so 180 all in, you should rent that property for at least 1% of the combined all-in investment. So if the all-in investment is 180, then you should collect at least 1%, which is 1,800. That's going to happen if you are in a top rental market. So super, super important to keep that in mind. Again, through ChicagoDealVault, we are going to give you the top flipping and rental markets, okay? So again, let's just quickly recap. Based on the current economy, shortage of inventory, high unemployment, high interest, lowest historically interest rates, you have a big big pool of buyers holding property prices up. Therefore, you have to focus on at least 2 exit strategies, either wholesaling or buy and hold. Buy and hold for sure, or micro flipping and buy and hold. Or you can do all 3, but guess what? My experience is that when you want to do too much, you end up not being the best at neither one of the exit strategies. So my advice is that you focus on at least 2 exit strategies completely, okay? Don't take 3 of them. So either you do buy and hold and fix and flip, or wholesale and buy and hold. But if you want to take all 3 of them, it's going to be too complicated. Okay, they're just completely different. You need to have different skill sets. So again, we have 2 groups. One that is dedicated to assist investors who want to be the best wholesalers. We have the Wholesale Inner Circle team, and also the Cash Flow Inner Circle team. So we're going to give you the A through Z blueprint, including resources. We meet once a week to help you build a rental portfolio. And most importantly, we have secured funding for your deals on the cash flow inner circle. Okay, so it's going to be a 6-month term, 12%, 2 points. Okay, so we're going to finance up to 150,000 of your purchase price, up to 50,000 for your rehab. So it's extremely powerful when you become part of the cash flow inner circle, because not only are we going to help you review the deal, vet the deal, but also help you with the funding. So it's the rehab type of loan where we help you with the purchase and the rehab, and then we're going to give you the resources to refinance once you stabilize the property, whether you're going to flip it or whether you're going to keep it. Okay, so if you're going to keep it for a buy and hold, we're going to give you the resources to do a refinance on the back end, and we're going to make sure that you have, when we vet the deal, enough equity, 25-30% equity on the back end, to be able to refinance the property, either using residential or commercial programs. Okay, so it's very, very important. We want to give you the A through Z blueprint for you to be successful in 2021. Okay, so I want to take some questions. Are there any questions on the line that I can help you? Let me see. Questions on the line. Do you need real estate license when doing wholesale transactions? Okay, so let's talk about that. Are any of the county courts open yet? No, not yet. Okay, so let's talk about the wholesaling law. So technically, you can do one wholesale every 12 months. Okay, if you're going to do more than that, then you need a real estate license. So let me tell you how we do it in the wholesale inner circle. We have about 60 members, and not all of them have a license, but we, ChicagoDealVault, have a brokerage. I'm a managing broker. So the way it works is you can go out there and make an offer under your name, okay? However, you are going to reassign the rights to our brokerage, okay? So when we market the property, meaning when we engage in wholesaling, that activity is regulated by the state of Illinois. So therefore, you need to be a licensed broker. Again, if you're going to be doing wholesaling more than one every 12 months. So since that's our plan, it's going to be marketed through our brokerage. Okay, so we are going to hold the rights of the contract that you get from any property. Okay, so we are going to assist you. Or the other option is when you make an offer to the seller, you can have both your name and our brokerage. Okay, so that will just satisfy with the law that now when doing wholesaling activity, you have to be licensed. And the reason why is because in the past, many wholesalers misled the public over inflating prices that caused a lot of problems and financial issues to the public. Now, it's going to be a licensed activity to be able to do wholesales. But again, if you're just going to do one every once in a while, you don't need a license. And in fact, you shouldn't focus on getting a license. The most important thing is to get a property on the contract. Once you get a property on the contract, a brokerage that is investor friendly can help you do the wholesaling activity on your behalf, okay? Because that's a licensed activity. So great question. Are there any other questions on the line regarding wholesaling or any other question? Via the chat, feel free to unmute yourself. So I'm going to show you some of the resources that we have available for you, and then I'll share them via the chat. So let me share my screen. Okay. By the way, the 3-day event is coming up this weekend. So is everyone going to the 3-day event? Is there anyone on the line who does not have a ticket for the 3-day event? If you do not have a ticket, we're going to give you a free ticket to the 3-day event, okay? Today, just for attending today's webinar, we're going to make sure that you have a free ticket to go to the 3-day event organized by Chicago RIA this weekend. It starts Friday through Sunday. It's a virtual event. So please let us know, send us a message via the chat if you don't have a ticket, and then we're going to make sure that you get a ticket, okay? Okay, perfect, Brian. So Brian recently got a property on the contract in Elgin. High five, congratulations, Brian. He got a home run deal in Elgin. And then he pretty much ran exactly the same formula, the same numbers that I was just sharing with you, where he was able to pretty much have a spread, big enough spread that he was able to capture a 25 to 30% equity on the back end, okay? In his case, he's got a super light rehab, less than $10,000 on a property that he got on the contract in Elgin for $121,000. So all in is 130, but the property will appraise somewhere in the mid 170s, 180. So it's just an amazing deal because very little rehab at a great price. So it's gonna cash flow nicely. And if he decides to do a fix and flip, will also work because he's going to have the back end equity required to do a successful fix and flip or buy and hold. He could as well wholesale the property, but if you have a great deal, my suggestion is obviously to buy and hold. So yeah, Brian, glad you joined today. Do you have anything to share with the audience? Okay, for those of you, okay, so please, yeah, send us your contact information. We'll give you a free ticket. Would you have to attend? Please let me know the details. Okay, awesome, Betsy. So, okay, so we'll make sure that all of you have a ticket. By the way, Betsy Green is one of our best partners, preferred partners for short sales. Okay, we have all her contact information in ChicagoDealVault. So if you are thinking or you know of an owner that is underwater, meaning that they owe more than what the property is worth, please make sure that you reach out to Betsy Green. So either Betsy Green or James Dean on the preferred partners. Let me share my screen in ChicagoDealVault. So you have right here, I'm in ChicagoDealVault. We have a category short sales specialist. Okay, so we have Betsy Green and James Dean. So thank you for joining, Betsy. So she is an incredible resource if you need assistance with short sales. Okay, so you can help the owner, sell the property. So please reach out to Betsy Green. Okay. So now let me give you the resources that I was mentioning. If you don't have access to DealVault, but we're going to give you a 30-day trial, I just want to show you here that for the next 12 months, you have to focus on B markets. So this is very critical. B, C plus. Okay, so let me just put it on the board. So A minus, B plus or minus, C plus, okay? This is very critical because guess what? These are the markets that were least affected by the pandemic. The C minus and D markets were hit the hardest because that's where most of the layoffs occurred. Those people are not gonna become collectible tenants or they're not gonna pay you top dollars for your flips. So we're trying to focus on the bread and butter markets, C plus, all the B markets, and A minus. So in ChicagoDealVault, that's how you can filter them by market type. So for instance, I can say, give me just the top, let's say, B markets that that are top flipping. So I select flips or cash flow for rentals. And then when you click on search, boom, we're gonna give you the market. So we've done all the research for you when it comes to finding the top flipping and rental markets, okay? Now, if you're interested in becoming part of the cash flow inner circle, let me send you the link. It's right here. We have a meeting this Sunday, so you can join that meeting Sunday. So I'm gonna send you the profiling form. And then if you're interested in taking on wholesales, I'm gonna send you the information about the wholesale inner circle right here, and also the profiling form for it. Okay, so please take a note of those links. Now, are there any other questions on the line that I can help you answer? Are there any resources or anything that is holding you back right now? Dimitri, Joanne, Liz, Mary, Rob, Sora, anything that is holding you back, anything that you need? Hey, Brian, have you started the rehab on your property in Elgin?
Not yet. I actually had the water turned on. I had a plumber come out to the property because, you know, it was winterized. So I had a guy, my plumber came out yesterday and did that. I got a couple quotes for exterior paint because I'm thinking maybe the paint will, it's not much. So, and the windows, I got a couple quotes for the windows. So still kind of getting numbers basically.
Okay, estimates.
Estimates, yep.
Perfect. So let us know if you need any resources for Windows. I believe we have right here on the preferred partners. Have you checked Windows right here?
I haven't.
We have a couple of them.
Okay.
Yeah, if you're doing brand new Windows, please give them a call so they can give you an estimate.
Maybe appliances, I guess. I got a fridge, but I need like even used appliances. Do you use used appliances or?
No, we don't. So let me show you appliances. We do have Grand Appliances and TV. These are, you know, I think one of the best companies, and sometimes they have used appliances. But based on my experience, there's very little difference between brand new and semi-used, and the lifespan that you're gonna get from the new appliances is just way better because you have that peace of mind that they're not gonna break because they give you warranty, but sometimes when they break, then they're out of warranty, and then the repairs are costly. So we always go with newer appliances, also because when we rehab the property, we do primarily everything in the property. So we want to make sure that it looks fresh. And in your case, I mean, you know, they've done all the property from the inside. So I would think it would make sense for you to do stainless steel new appliances, unless sometimes this company like Grant Appliance and TV, you can buy used stainless steel that they just have a dent, right? Maybe on the back. Find out because then you can get like really great deals. But I would do stainless steel appliances on your Elgin house, okay? Because people love stainless steel, and then you're going to be able to get higher rents. So it's just going to totally pay off. If you decide to go with new appliances, our favorite shop is ABT. They have by far the best customer service, and they often give you like a 10% discount. So ABT is number one. Number two, Home Depot. But if you need appliances fast, ABT is for sure number one. Home Depot, sometimes they're not in stock, they don't have inventory, and the delivery dates, they go maybe a week, 2 weeks. So depends how quickly you need them. But if you want to rent the property, by March, please look into these grant appliances. You can get semi-used, but make sure that they're in really good shape. Go with the stainless steel. But if you want brand new ones, check out ABT.
Okay. What about washer and dryer? Is that something you put in all of your rentals?
Absolutely. You know, laundry in unit makes a big difference. So in your basement, you can put washer and dryer.
Right.
So that's gonna be like 450 each, so about 900 for both of them. So it's totally worth buying them new because you don't want to deal with the hassle of broken appliances because they're just too expensive to repair.
Okay. Thank you.
So no problem. You're gonna spend about 3,500 in new appliances. I'm talking about the microwave, the stove, the fridge, washer and dryer. About 3,500 stainless steel.
Okay. Sounds good. Thank you.
Oh, no problem, Brian. Okay,
Hi, Doctor.
Betsy. Oh,
Hello.
go ahead.
Sorry. Good evening. How much money do I need, for example, to wholesale a $120,000 house or condo?
That's the beauty about it, Sam, that you don't need any money because you're not buying the property, okay? The only thing that you need to do is spend money on marketing, right? So how do you get the seller leads? So you need to do bandit signs. They're about $20 a piece. You need to do mailers or postcards. They're about 40 cents a piece. And you need to do that consistently, once a month at least. You also need to do cold calling. You need to do driving for dollars. You need to reach out to FISBOs for sale by owners, and you need to do door knocking. So those are primarily the 6 lead generation strategies when it comes to marketing to get seller leads. But it doesn't cost much marketing wise. I mean, you can make it very inexpensive. In fact, through ChicagoDealVault, when you join the inner circle, we give you all the leads, we give you the training, we show you the sites where you can get the best prices for. But we're going to give you the leads, skip trace if you decide to do cold calling. Again, bandit signs, they're very inexpensive. You just need to even make them yourself under $10 each. The rest doesn't cost much, like driving for dollars, reaching out to FISBOs for sale by owners, or doing door knocking. So that's the cool thing about wholesaling. It doesn't take much to get into it. But you just need to become really good at building rapport, understanding sellers' motivation, making sure they have equity, and most importantly, be able to get them to sign the contract. That's what we teach you in the Wholesale Inner Circle group.
How much time
Great
normally
question, Sam.
how much time normally the seller will give you until you find the real buyer for it?
Okay, so typically you get a property in the contract and you have 30 days to find an end buyer. But right now, being a seller's market and having a shortage of inventory, we've been able to wholesale properties within a day, within 2 days. So the way we do it is we get a property on the contract. Like right now, we got a property on the contract last week. We did the showing on Sunday. By Monday, we had a buyer, right? And then we got another property on the contract in Homewood this week. We're preparing the funding marketing proposal, the material to blast out to over 10,000 investors by Friday. We're going to have that ready by Friday. So the way we do it is we're going to schedule one showing for Sunday. And then we usually get 10 to 20 people at once. So we say showing Sunday, 2 p.m., boom. We create that sense of urgency. We bring cash buyers, investors to look at the property. And by next week, that property should be sold. I mean, it is that fast. But the contract that we have with the seller, we want to have at least 30 days to be able to move the property. But right now, in this market, seller's market, it's way more than enough, okay? Especially when we're wholesaling these properties, we're looking for investors like cash buyers. So we want them to pay cash, if not private money lender. And the third best option is hard money lender, but either cash or private money lender It's just the quickest way to close on the property. You can close in as little as a week when they have the cash or they use private money lenders.
Great. Thank you.
Oh, my pleasure, Sam. Any other questions?
Yeah, you go. Just wanted to ask you, as far as funding for with cash flow inner circle, if I'm looking at another deal, and if I make an offer, would it be all right to make a cash offer, and once the offer is accepted, then I'll have you guys look at it and see if it's a good deal, or how's that?
Absolutely.
Okay.
Absolutely. That's the way it works. Because private money lender, the loan that we're going to give you, it's like paying cash. Hard money lender is not like paying cash because you do have a mortgage contingency, right? They need to do an appraisal. But when you use our funding or private money lender, it's the same as cash, okay? But we're just going to vet the deal. And I just put up on the screen, let me show you the requirements, not the requirements, but the terms. So we're doing 12% interest. It's a 6-month term, 2 points origination. Okay, so we can fund you 100% of the purchase price up to 150,000 and 100% of the rehab up to 20,000. However, if the rehab is up to 50,000, we're still going to give you 100% of the rehab up to 50,000, but then we just give you 90% of the purchase price. Okay, so it's again like it's a private money fund that you can leverage.
Okay, sounds good. And then the other question I have, if I'm looking at, let's say, Condo, when I analyze a deal with Condo, there's a monthly homeowners or HOA. How do
Right.
you calculate that into the deal as far as your buy price or?
Okay, so when dealing with condos, you need to, that's part of the operating expenses. So tax, insurance, utilities, and HOA are part of your operating expenses. So they come into the picture when you do the rental analysis, okay? And we can help you do that. So you're gonna take the rent minus all the operating expenses, and that's gonna give you your net operating income. And then you're gonna use that in conjunction with the mortgage payment to compute your debt coverage ratio. Okay, but we're gonna help you do that analysis for the rental, for the buy and hold. But that's where the HOA comes into the picture. It's just an operating expense, just like insurance, just like taxes. So HOA typically covers common insurance and some of the utilities like water, okay? But something that you do need to pay attention to when dealing with condos is the bylaws. Make sure that you get a copy of the bylaws because many of them do not allow rentals or they have a cap on the rentals. And it's first come, first serve. So once, let's say the association has 50% rentals, they won't allow any more rentals. So if you want to wholesale that property or you're going to keep it for yourself and they have capped out the number of rentals allowed, guess what? You cannot rent it. And your only option is to either move into that condo or sell it. So just be careful, make sure that you get a copy of the bylaws, super, super important. And also they change, right? It's not always the same. They can change, they can just not allow rentals anymore. So it's just risky, be careful with condos. But again, if some of the top neighborhoods, A minus neighborhoods, happen to be top flipping markets for condos, for us, for townhomes, like for instance, Arlington Heights, Palatine, because they're very expensive as far as getting a single family home, but people look for townhomes, condos. So they're great asset types for wholesaling or flipping, but in A markets, okay? But again, just be aware of the bylaws from the association.
Great, thank you.
No problem. Hey, Tony, how are you doing with your Naperville townhome? Have you started the rehab? I know you got this awesome deal from Probates. Did you guys start the rehab or where are you in the process? Okay, let me see. Any other questions? Joanne, how are you doing? I know you had a listing, a property for sale. I believe, was it in Joliet? Okay, there's a question. Hey, Hugo, do you guys fund the earnest money when the property goes on the contract? No, that's something that once you get the property in the contract, you need to pay the earnest money because typically you have technically 24 hours to pay the earnest money. Okay, so that's something that you need to come up with. We're gonna fund the purchase and the rehab, but the earnest money, obviously, you need to pay for it. When you're wholesaling, you don't need to give a lot, like less than 500. But when you're gonna buy properties, then it's about 1% of the purchase price. Okay, if it's off-market property, right? But if it's MLS, if you want to get a good deal, just like Brian did in Elgin, guess what his earnest money was? 10,000. 10,000 earnest money, 2 weeks cash to close, and waive most of the contingencies, like the mortgage contingency, inspection contingency, ASIS. So if you're gonna get a property from the MLS, your earnest money needs to be like 5,000 and up. Otherwise, you stand no chance in the seller's market. Great question. Any other questions?
Oh, just Hugo, I don't know if I mentioned to you, I'm actually tomorrow I'm closing my I sold the flip in Hoffman Estates.
Oh, really?
If you want to
So,
share that,
yeah,
the address is 1870
1870
North Newport Road.
Hoffman Estates.
Yeah,
Okay, so Zillow, let me pull it up. I want to see the pictures.
yeah. So this one,
So, 4 bed. Let me make the pictures bigger. Okay, so it's a whoa, it's a beautiful rehab. Is this virtual staging or
yes,
did you actually do the staging?
we staged the
Oh
kitchen and
yeah.
the two bedrooms, but that one is virtual stage for the.
Okay, that's very nice.
So this one was
Uh,
on the market for less than 24 hours. We
you
accepted an
gotta be
offer.
kidding me.
Yeah.
Yeah, I'm looking at the pictures. The bathroom, the rehab looks astonishing.
It turned out
Oh,
nice.
so tell us about the numbers because it seems like you did. Even the HVAC system looks newer, but whoa. So let me see the location. So this is in Hoffman Estates.
Very nice location. It backed up
So
to a
tell us
school.
more about this property, Brian. And congratulations, by the way.
Thank you. So we purchased it in July last year for 167.5. It was an REO
Okay. From the MLS
and
or from where?
MLS, correct.
Okay.
And it was a 3-1.
167. Three
Yeah,
one.
what
Okay.
we
Three
converted it
bedroom, one
into
bath.
yeah, we converted it into a 4-2, and the market really helped me a lot that the price jumped because my initial ARV back then was only 300, but
Whoa.
we actually sold it for 325.
325?
So we had a huge spread, but we used a lot of the spread.
So tell me about your rehab. Let me make a guess. Let me quickly see the pictures. So pretty much you redid everything. Let me ask you this: did you do anything with the key? I mean, with the windows?
Yes, brand new windows.
Brand new windows. Okay. What about the HVAC system? New HVAC system?
No, it was a newer HVAC system. Is only 7 years old. We got
Okay,
lucky.
very cool. What about plumbing and electric? Did you have to do
Yes,
new system?
upgraded. Yeah, we upgraded the plumbing and electric.
So you rehab, let me see, and you did, let me look at the kitchen. Yeah, no, the kitchen looks pretty nice. So my guess is that the square footage is 1,500. My guess is that your rehab hit 65,000.
That was that was my original rehab. We went over,
Oh,
but you're right.
really?
You
How
were.
much was your rehab?
We ended up 85.
85.
Yeah,
Okay.
it's because of the holding costs. The village, Hoffman States Village, took 4 months to approve our permits.
No way.
Yes, because with the COVID and
Oh, that's true.
the drawings, uh, it took them. The initial drawing failed, and then it took them another 4 weeks to approve the second drawing for the addition or
Okay.
the bathroom and the master suite drawings. But other than
Okay,
that,
got it.
it would have been a 40K profit, but because of the too long of a hold, it dropped. But it's okay. It's still pretty good.
Very good, very good. So you're gonna
So
be making, let me
30K,
see, so like
30K profit.
10%, like 30,000, right?
Yes,
Yeah. So
but a lot of headaches and stress.
I can imagine. Now, for funding, did you use private money lender, hard money lender?
So on this one, I used conventional. It ended up conventional uh, as an investment property, so I put down 15%, and then the rehab budget came from my. I refinanced my house, so I used that money. I cashed out refinance.
Okay. So I think it was great funding wise because then you're able to minimize your carrying cost. Had you
Correct,
used a private money lender, that would have killed your numbers because you would have paid, I would say, close to 2,000 a month
correct,
for like maybe 9 months, and then since you
correct,
went over the 6 month mark, then they would have charged you 2 extra points. So the holding or carrying cost would have eaten you alive
correct, correct.
had you used the private money lender. So I think it worked out great.
Yeah,
So tell us the lessons, Brian. I mean, this is cool. I'm fascinated. I really appreciate you sharing your deal. Tell us your learning experience,
a lot, a
lessons
lot
learned.
of, a lot of learning experience. Number one, you gotta plan out everything ahead of time. Every day counts. Uh, like every day when nothing's happening in the project, it's like money being wasted. Uh, Contractors are where I struggle the most. It's tough to find contractors that you can rely on, and hopefully they'll do the job as agreed upon. I had to actually towards the end, I had to fire my original GC, found another GC, and then even with another GC, I had other issues that I had to resolve, including passing city inspections. I had City was so picky about stuff. I had to get multiple inspections because each time they came out, they find something different that they'll fail you. Uh, so plumbing, electrical, they had to check me like 4 times. With that, it took about a month and a half just for that. You know, um, you have to make decisions, like concrete decisions. Once you make the decision, you stick with it, because a lot of times I change my mind here and there with designs and things like that. It prolongs the process. So there's so many things learned from this flip.
Absolutely. So, yeah, I mean, I would have guessed absolutely you already have 65, but I think due to all these issues with the GCs, that caused this obviously to go up. But I mean, great
Yes.
lessons, and you're right. You know, the biggest headaches for investors like flippers or buy and hold is the rehab. I mean, the contractors. I mean, that's a deal breaker for many of us.
Yes.
Excuse me, who was your lender?
That was I ended up using cross country mortgage. It was a conventional loan, 15% down, 4.5% interest rate.
So they are good for the investment and for the residential loan, correct?
Correct. Yes.
Okay. And then can I ask you how much did you pay for a staging the
So
property?
for staging, the kitchen and bathrooms, I spent about 500.
Oh, that's all? Okay.
Yeah.
Yeah, because if you use the regular furniture, it costs you much more than that.
Correct. I did actually. I contacted two staging companies. They're actually from Masteries too, but the price was like $2,000. So I was like, I didn't want to spend that much money for staging. So
Yeah, I use the Chicagoland staging. I believe that their minimum is about 3,500.
wow, that's a lot.
Yeah,
Yeah.
we use
Yes.
ProBuy staging. I just put it on the screen, but yeah, that's about 2,000 at least. So
With Diane,
500 is nothing.
with Diane,
Yeah, with Diane. Yeah,
yeah, I had her. She gave me a quote.
yeah, it's about at least 2,000,
Yes,
1,500.
yes,
It depends on the quality of the furniture that they bring also. I mean,
yeah, but I think it didn't really need it. I had the I put it on the market Thursday at 11 a.m. 12:30 p.m. I had first showing, and every half hour we had 10 showings the first day. We had three solid offers. One was a cash buyer, 10,000 below asking. The other one was conventional loan at asking, which was 319, 320, and then the other one was 325 uh, with conventional loan. So we ended up choosing the 325 because they had good jobs and everything. So down payment was good. So
if you had 5 homes like this, you could sell it in one day.
yeah, and Huffman State's very hot. Their inventory there is also very low, so there's hardly any homes for sale there.
Yeah, absolutely.
Yeah.
So great job,
Yeah.
Brian. Congratulations.
Thank you.
So I'm glad that you were able to sell it super, super fast.
Yes, that was fast. We were thinking if we would have waited over the weekend, maybe we would have gotten a better numbers. But I wasn't sure how much it was gonna appraise, you know. But the appraisal came back 345.
Whoa,
Yeah,
that's
so I
huge.
was like, we could have waited, but it's okay. We count our blessings, you know. Can't be too greedy.
Of course.
Yeah.
Great. So thank you, Brian, for sharing your success story, both, the one from Elgin and Hoffman Estates. So thank you,
Uh,
everyone, for joining today, and have a wonderful evening. I send you the links for the inner circles for you to sign up and join our first meeting for free. I can't wait to make you more successful 2021. Okay, so thank you everyone for joining. Thank you, Brian. Thank you everyone who participated. Sam, Luis, And I look forward to seeing you next week. And we're gonna make sure that you get a ticket for the 3-day. For those of you who send me your contact information, we'll give you a free ticket.
Brian, can you put your loan officer phone number on the chat, please?
So
if you want, let me see. I don't know where my contact info is. Hold on a second.
That's good. Hugo, I saw a property in Lake Forest weekend, and the agent refused to show it. And then Monday went on their contract. So that's what happens to one of my deals.
that's very unethical.
Very unethical, yeah. Probably the agent had her own buyer.
Absolutely.
That's why she blocked every other offer or every other agent.
Right. Maybe they ended up doing dual agency.
Maybe, yeah. It was a short sale actually. I don't know. Some of the banks they don't allow dual agency, but
Right.
maybe another agent from their office.
Right. Who knows? Unfortunate, but it
Yeah,
happens.
unfortunately.
Okay, so thank you everyone for
Sounds good.
joining. I look forward to seeing you next
Sunday.
week. Okay, our next meeting is Monday. So thank you for joining. Have a wonderful evening, everyone.
Thank you, everyone.
Thank you, Brian. Thank you, Sam.
Thank you. Have a good evening. Take care.